Alright guys, here's this Lasko 16-inch oscillating pedestal fan model 2740 from 2010. This one is a recent curve find. This was pretty much found in front of a tree. So I pretty much bought it here because I was kind of curious about this fan. I don't really see these fans much because they were not produced for really a long time. Um, these were produced for a very short time. So they introduced this fan back in 2010, and they would discontinue this model 5 years later. Um, so usually when I find one of these fans, they're already taken apart. This one came in full, which is what I usually do not see. So I pretty much grabbed it for just to see if it worked or not. And matter of fact, it still does work. Works quite flawlessly. Now there's no issue with it. Um, this one's a quite interesting model though. Pretty much because Lasko does not make a full gray remote control pedestal fan. This one's entirely gray from top to bottom. This color scheme is similar to the older Galaxies, um, but it's a bit lighter compared to that one. Now, this fan, they kind of lowered the quality of it. This one has the floppy blades and a lower powered motor. They use still the same microfarad capacitor rating, but the performance is not really the same as the older ones. Um, so, like, let's say an older Lasko 2016, that one could kind of easily beat this one. Uh, and it's mainly because of the pitch of the blade, the the motor rating, and I don't think with the grills count much, but it's pretty much with that. But it's a quite nice looking fan, despite it having components that are already old at this point. So for starters, the blade and the base, they were introduced back in '98. The pole design is pretty much from 2002, and I guess that will be the same thing with the remote controlling the body. Um, the back grill reaches as far back as '97. This batch it goes back to 2002. That's only the case with the General Electric branded fans, though. They would then use this batch for the Air King models. The only thing new is the spinner design. Um, Before 2008, this was the spinner design Lasko had. Um, Also, the smaller motor cover, which was only used on the 3012, which is a wall fan, and the 2520, which nowadays would be the multi-purpose fan. Uh, During 2002 to 2009, this was the motor cover to use. This one, of course, being larger, it was a kind of more complicated to put back because the motor shells they're obscurely big for no reason. So pretty much what Lasko did with this one is that they started using the motor shells used on the 12-inch fans and implemented on these motors. So would say the larger motor shell was kind of an experiment. Now the pitch with this fit, the blade here, it's not really much like the older ones. If I could take a look from this side, um, looks like it's a lot, but it's a bit flatter compared to the older ones. Um, the older ones they were pitched like this. This one it kind of has a bit more pitch compared to the newer ones. But otherwise, it's not a really bad fan. It still performs well, and it does give the same amount of airflow that the older ones did. So here is low. This one has a quite quiet low speed. Uh, And I'm already feeling a decent amount of breeze coming out of this fan. It's a slightly bit out of balance. That I can tell you. Now, it's not outrageously out of balance, but it's a bit out of balance too, and it's quite enough to make the bass hit the ground a lot, and I'm able to hear it a lot as well. And I think the front grill is rattling. Apparently, Lasko they tend to have a problem with making the correct size grills when it comes to the 16-inch fans. They didn't have the problem with the 12-inch fans, but for some reason the 16-inch fans are the ones that they keep messing up with. There is medium. And of course the airflow increased. It's a bit more powerful now. This one I'm able to use in a large bedroom, just like the Lasko 2016. It's not very loud. It's very quiet, and its performance is actually quite decent, despite the blade pitch being a bit flattened. But not bad. Here is high. Now I'm feeling the airflow, right? Could feel it starting to circulate all over the bedroom here. It's not really as much as the older ones, as already established, but for 2010, I mean, keep in mind that by 2010, like most of the fan quality started dropping from there. Most of them were very terrible. It had the most thinnest blades you will ever imagine, and also the flat pitch on them. So this one's a very, very good quality for that time. Here's the oscillations. Now this fan, I'm surprised, it does not use the glory motors. I'm not sure what type of motor it uses, but it's definitely not the glory motor shells. This one uses a different type of motor shell. Same size, but the design is slightly different. And the type of gearbox used on this fan is quite similar to this plastic one right here, which is quite weird. And they only use that design on the remote control pedestal fans only. They don't use that on their mainline hand controlled stand fans. Also glad the oscillation functions properly with this one. Sometimes those gearboxes tend to fail. This one seems to be well kept. It was pretty much serviced from time to time when it actually needed it. Because when I found it, it was not really that insanely dirty. Like I would find a Lasko Elegance of Performance fan. I guess it was not used that much last summer, so which is why it was like decently clean. Apart from the sticky debris it had. Well, yeah, I've seen videos of this specific fan model, and I was kind of curious about it, but not just like seeing the performance in person. It's actually not really that terrible. It's actually good. Sure, it might not be like the 90s style ones, but it comes close to that. I'll say for the least. It's time to turn the fan off. But yeah, the performance is very good, and it's very quiet. And of course, the spin down is quite spectacular as well. But there you have it. That's the Lasko remote control 16-inch oscillating pedestal fan model 2740 from 2010.